Today I'm discussing how to get married in the Dominican Republic and how to get your birth certificate back after you do. Because that is something no one told me. I didn't realize that once they had my birth certificate, they would just be keeping it forever. So that was quite a shock when I realized, wait a second, we already got married. I didn't get anything back. And we're going to talk about how you do that. But first, some topics that will not be discussed today. Number 1, how to find someone to marry in the Dominican Republic. And number 2, should you marry your Dominican boyfriend or girlfriend? We're not talking about that today. If you want a video related to those topics, then let me know in the comments. But today's video is purely logistical, purely informational. We're just assuming that you have already made this decision and you're looking for the logistics side of it. So anyways, we're just discussing what you will need to bring, what you need to get prepared beforehand while you're still in the US, and then, as I mentioned, how to get your birth certificate back. So the first step that you'll need to do if you are the foreigner, in this case, if you're from the US maybe, you will need to get your birth certificate apostilled. In order to get your birth certificate apostilled, you will need to take it to the Department of State, or you might be able to mail it in as well if you are able to wait longer. So that is usually a relatively low fee that you will pay for that process. And then you get it apostilled. Mine then came in 3 pages and they had to stay stapled together. So they put all these 3 papers in an envelope, and then I had my apostilled birth certificate. So that's something you do have to prepare before you come to the Dominican Republic. Now for Dominicans, what they will need is their cedula, so their ID card, and they'll also need copies of their birth certificate, something that's not just like expired or deteriorated. If they've been married previously, they will need to bring their divorce certificate or the death certificate of their former spouse. Now for the foreigners like me, you will need your passport, the original passport, as well as a copy of the main page and a copy of the page that has the stamp that you received upon your latest entry to the DR. Another thing you will need as a foreigner is a sworn declaration that you are single, basically. And the reason we need that and the Dominicans don't is because on their IDs, it says their civil status, so it will say married or single. And since it should say, hopefully, single on their ID, then that means they're single. So for this document, you do need to either get it done in the US and get it apostilled, or you can also get it done here, which is what we did. So we took everything to a lawyer, and what they did is they translated my birth certificate and they wrote up this document that is pretty long just to say that I'm single, but I signed it, and then that works as the document, the sworn declaration of singleness. And those were the 2 things that we got from the lawyer. Once you have everything from both sides of the couple, you do need 2 witnesses. So for that, you're just going to bring a copy of their cedula, their ID cards, and they can't be people who are relatives or who have the same last name as either party. So once you have those 2 photocopies of the IDs of your witnesses and everything for the Dominican, everything for the foreigner, then you have to take everything to the, how do you say this word? It's like the courthouse for here, but it's called the La Junta. You take everything there, you tell them you're there to like apply for a marriage, basically. And then what you do, you turn all this in, they check everything, make sure you have everything correct. And yeah, make sure you have at least like 2 copies of some of the things, because they do check everything very thoroughly and they have to make sure everything has the right stamp. Make sure you go early, especially if you're going around the holiday season, like December, January, because once you turn everything in, they might tell you the dates available, or they'll just set up the one that is the soonest available date, which they did for us. So that was about 1 month out by the time we were there. So don't expect to get married the next week unless they somehow have an availability. I would guess you probably need at least a couple weeks, but for us it was about 1 month until the soonest available date for a marriage. If you are getting married as a foreigner to a Dominican, the cost of this marriage will be 10,000 pesos, and you can pay that by card. This will also happen at La Junta, but that's if you're getting married in the place, which honestly I recommend you just get it done there, and then you can have whoever else marry you if you want to have another celebration, which is what we did. But if you want to get married outside of that building, outside of the Junta, then you will have to pay 15,000 pesos, and it's not like anyone can marry you then. It still has to be either someone from the Junta, or I think it's like from the Catholic Church, some priests that could do it. If you're both foreigners and you're getting married in the DR, then the price will be 20,000 pesos, whether you're at the Junta or outside of it. So after you do all that, you get your appointment, and the ceremonies usually happen in the morning before noon. Try to get there as early as possible, because usually it's just in the order of whoever gets there, first come, first serve. The ceremony itself is relatively simple. They just read off some things, you sign something, you can exchange rings if you would like, and maybe share a kiss, and yeah, it's what you expect, nothing too fancy. You have your witnesses there, they sign the paper as well. They do give you a certificate then, but I think a couple weeks later you can go back and get a more official marriage certificate. And then after that, you might realize that they have your birth certificate. You might not want them to have your birth certificate. I've always had the same one my whole life, or at least it's been in my family's possession all my life, so I was like, can I get that back? But thankfully we found out you can. When we went back for the marriage certificate, they told us that you can just write a letter, and like a typed letter, just have it say, I, foreigner, need my documents back. Then you write the numbers that were on your marriage certificate and what book and everything and what date it was, and you just sign it, and then you bring it to them and they'll have it ready. Probably give them like a week because I went, I think it was Monday, and then I went back on Friday and they were like, yeah, we'll have it ready on Friday. And I went and I waited and I waited and they were like, oh, we have to go get it. It's like, okay, it wasn't ready, but it's not too big of a deal. You do have to wait several days, so I don't know why it can't be on the same day. Maybe it can, but they didn't give me that option really. So that's how you get your birth certificate back. And I think I will try to link below this paper here, which has all the requisitos para matrimonio, all the requirements to get married. Also, I will try to link the example of a letter that you can turn in to get your birth certificate back. So I hope this was helpful for someone. I know I couldn't find any information, which is why I literally just went to the Junta and got this paper, because I was like, we need to know this for sure. So let me just find out the actual place. The websites weren't exactly being helpful. So I got that information, and that is all I have to share with you today. I hope this was helpful for someone. If you're getting married, wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.